In the late 1980s, PepsiCo found itself in an extraordinary business deal with the Soviet Union, one that briefly made it one of the world's most unexpected naval powers. The Soviet economy, constrained by the inability to trade in dollars, needed creative solutions to continue its agreement with Pepsi. What followed was a barter deal unlike any other. Pepsi had been in the Soviet market since the 1970s, initially trading its cola for stolichnaya vodka, which it could then sell in the US. However, as vodka sales declined, the Soviet Union had to find another way to compensate PepsiCo. In 1989, they struck an unusual agreement. Pepsi would receive a fleet of Soviet naval vessels in exchange for continued distribution of its soft drinks. The deal involved 17 submarines, a frigate, a cruiser, a destroyer, and even a few oil tankers. While the vessels were decommissioned, the sheer scale of the transaction briefly made PepsiCo the owner of one of the most formidable fleets in the world, at least on paper. It didn't take long for PepsiCo to offload its new naval assets. The company quickly arranged for the ships to be sold to a Swedish scrap company, ensuring the deal remained focused on business rather than military power. It was a creative way to work around the Soviet Union's financial restrictions and an impressive display of PepsiCo's ability to adapt to complex global trade issues. The deal was part of a larger $3 billion agreement that ensured Pepsi would continue to be a dominant brand in the USSR. This was a significant achievement, as Coca-Cola was not yet allowed in Soviet markets. The arrangement solidified Pepsi's presence as the soft drink of choice behind the Iron Curtain. Jokes spread that PepsiCo had, for a brief moment, become the sixth largest naval power in the world. While the claim was exaggerated, the story became a legendary example of how businesses sometimes find themselves entangled in the geopolitical landscape in ways no one could predict. This unusual barter was a product of the Cold War era, a time when trade restrictions and political tensions forced businesses to come up with unconventional solutions. Pepsi's ability to work with the Soviets while maintaining its presence in the West highlighted its global influence. The Soviet Union collapsed just 2 years after the deal was made, bringing an end to this unique chapter of business history. As new economic systems emerged in former Soviet states, Pepsi had to navigate fresh challenges and renegotiate agreements in a rapidly changing world. Despite its bizarre nature, the deal remains one of the most remarkable corporate transactions of the 20th century. It demonstrates how multinational companies often operate in spaces far beyond simple product sales, engaging in complex negotiations that can involve everything from consumer goods to military assets. This story serves as a fascinating reminder of how commerce and politics can intersect in unexpected ways. It shows the power of adaptability in business, proving that sometimes the best way to get a deal done is to think outside the box, even if it means briefly owning a navy.